Okay, good afternoon, everyone. As usual, if you have any questions from the homework, basically the practice problems, please put them on chat so I can answer your questions. Okay, I give you 2 minutes to be able to gather your thought, and please put your questions on chat. 15, 32, 34, very good. We go through that, and then I will discuss another problems with you. Okay, so here we are. Number 15. Okay, so what is it about? Find equation of the line that passes through the following point. So I want to find the equation of the line that passes through the point -3 this and 7. Can anyone else hear me? Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, okay. We hear you.
All right, good. So we want to find the equation of this line. So basically it's a line, okay? It's a line. If I get my pencil going, I can draw the line. So that's a line, and it goes through the point -3, -10. So this is -3, -10, somewhere down here. So that's a point on the line. And 7, and -10 thirds, it should be somewhere in here. Okay, so, and so it's going to be this line. So the slope has to be positive because it's rising. So to find the equation, I need 2 things. I need a slope and a point. Slope, point, give me the equation. So let us compute the slope. So these are my 2 points. So it's the change in y. It means -10 third minus -10. So these are, if you want, x1, y1. That's what I called them before. And that's x2, y2. So it's the change in the y. So basically, that's the change in the y. Divided by the change in x, which is 7 minus -3. So be very careful with those minuses. That's probably what makes it a bit confusing. So we're going to compute that. -10/3 minus will give me +10. And down here, it's just a 10 because equal to that. All right, so it's a mess, of course. We're going to make it look nicer. And the only way I can make it look nicer, because usually I'm going to ask you to give me the answer, not as a decimal, but as a fraction. The best way is to find a common numerator here to make it a common denominator in the top. So this is a 10. I won't touch. This is going to be -10/3 plus, so I can combine this. I want a common denominator, and this gives me 3 times 10, give me a 30. All right. A little bit of algebra also required. So I have a 10 here, -10, so it's going to give me 20/3. So now I have a fraction divided by another one. So basically 10, that's like a 10/1. Property of fraction is 20/3 times 1/10. Now, of course, I can simplify because 10 is 2 times 10, basically. So this is basically 2 times 10, because that's what 20 is. And this is 3 times 10. Because 10 is a common factor, I can simplify it, leaving me with 2/3.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Why is it 1/10 instead of 10/1?
Because it's a fraction divided by another one. So if you have a/b, right? That's the,
why?
Are you with me?
I hear you.
Yeah, divided by c, right? So the denominator is not a fraction, just a number. So this is going to give me what? So you can think of it as c/1 if you want. So it's a/b times what? The reciprocal.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, very good. Thanks. Okay, so this is the slope. So now I know the slope. And to find the equation, you can go either way. Either you use the point slope form or the slope intercept. And I'm going to practice the slope intercept. Let's see what the slope, sorry, I'm going to practice the point slope. So let's see what this tells me. It tells me that y equal the slope x minus, so that's the slope. And what goes in here is the point, y0, x0. Okay. Now I have 2 points in this scenario. To apply this, I have 2 points on the line. I pick any one I want. It doesn't really matter. It's absolutely the same. So I'm going to pick this one just because I don't want to deal with this. Pure and simple. So the point is -3 minus 10. Pick any one you want, you get exactly the same thing. So let's apply the point slope form verbatim. So it's y minus. That's my slope. And here I know the point. That's my point. So the y is the -10. The x.
Could you move it up just a little bit?
Of course I can. Okay. So now I do the math. First, I simplify a little bit. Minus minus plus 10. Equal. Please be comfortable. If I am going fast, let me know. So you can put it on chat or so that's how you guys can help me. Minus minus, c'est plus A3. Now the rest is, we want to write it into form y equal mx plus b. So we're going to do some algebra at this stage. I have to distribute. So it's going to give me 2 over 3x plus 2 over 3 times 3 will give me a 2. So it's 2/3. You multiply it by 2. That's going to give me a 2. And now I'm going to take away a 10. And I will get the equation, which would be y equal, that's the slope, times x minus 8. End of the problem.
Professor,
Yes.
can you also use, instead of doing the y minus y0 formula, can you also do the slope intercept form instead?
Yes, unless I ask you to.
So for like the quiz, does it matter which one you use?
Let me see. I think in the quiz today, I mean, I'm telling you ahead of time, I think I asked you to use the point slope. Okay, so in the quiz today, I want you to practice this one.
Okay.
Okay, because I want you to learn it, pure and simple. All right.
Okay.
If I don't, use y equal mx plus b. You should, I mean, you can check your work actually. Once you use this and check your work, y equal mx plus b, you should get the exact same answer. But I want you to know both of them. All right.
Okay.
So if I go back to my graph in here, what's this point here immediately? Can we figure it out? So the equation was 2/3 times x minus 8. That's the equation of the line. So what's this point here?
-8.
Exactly, because that's what happened when x is 0. That's my intercept, -8. So if you guys use y equal mx plus b, you're going to get the b equal -8 because this will give you the intercept right there. Right. Okay, so now let's go back to see number 32 and 34. Any questions about that? The very basic question. You should definitely be able to do that with your eyes closed almost. So let me look at number 32. 32. Okay. So here there is like a short story problem. Okay, I'm gonna pick. Sorry, I'm picking up the pages from the book. 32. In the year 2000, the population of a town was 1,400. Since then, the population of the town has increased by 27 people a year. And this increase in population is expected to continue into the future. Meaning they are expecting the population to increase by 27 every single year. That's really what they are telling us. Okay. Question number 1 is, let T represent years after 2000, meaning T equal to 0 is 2000, T equal to 1, 2001, and so on and so forth. And F is the function that assigns to each year the population of the town in year T. Determine a formula for F of T. So question number 1 is, the only way we can find a formula if the function is linear. Otherwise, we don't really know how to find a formula. If the function is not a line, I have no clue what the formula would be. So is this function linear?
Yes, it is.
Because
it gives you a starting point and a consistent rising slope.
exactly. And so it's telling you very clearly, it increased by 27 a year, and this increase is expected to continue. They are telling you is the same rate every year 27. So let us write down everything they've given us in this problem. So at T equal to 0, now I'm trying to, so in the year 2000, which means T equal to 0, the population is how much? 1,400. And every year, the constant rate grows by 27 people. So 27 people per year, we interpret it as every year it grows by 27. And F of T is the function that we give it time, and F will give you the population at this time. That's what F is doing for us. All right, so that's a typical linear. Time, the function. Initially, 1,400. Every year is growing up by 27. That's really what it means right now is that much. Another year, another 27. So how much is going to be 7 and 7? It's a 2. And it's a 4. I do 2. That's a 5. Okay, so that's a 1454, and so on and so forth. It's really by the same amount. So what's the slope in this problem? So F of T has the 4 mt plus b because it's linear. What's the m and what's the b in this particular problem? Are they given to us?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So what's the m in this problem?
It would be 27.
27, because it's per year, not per 10 years or not per 5 years. So m is 27. B, is it given to us also?
Yes.
Because what's the B? It's
It would be
1,400, because that's really the intercept. That's what's happening at 0. So the population is given very easily to be 27T plus 1,400. As I said last time, and as I say, that's really a very logical formula, because 1,400, after 1 year, you add 27. After 2 years, you add 2 times 27. 3 years, 3 times 27. So it really, the formula makes a lot of sense. So this is A. This is B. B is asking me the following. In what year will there be 2,426 people in the town? Okay, what are they asking us to do?
So are you asking us to solve that?
Yeah, what are you gonna solve?
So you would first subtract 1,400.
Okay,
From
all right. Before you tell me all this, which is correct, we have to, what we're gonna solve? We're gonna find T such that F of T equal 2,426. Okay, so that's really what we have to do. Okay, as it means 27t plus 400 equal 2026. That's really what the question is. When you will have that many people. And now, Connor, you can proceed.
So you would subtract the 1,400 from the 2,426, which would give you 1,026, and then you would divide that by 27.
I'm trusting your numbers. I didn't do it, so I'm definitely, you're right.
And your final answer should be 38. That's the amount of years.
Exactly. So in which year? In the year?
That would be 2038, correct?
Yeah, 2038, because t equal to 0 correspond to the year 2000. So in the year 2038, there will be 2,426 people. Okay. All right, now we look at the last problem you guys asked, which is 34.
Could you move it up just a little bit? Can't
Yeah.
see the bottom. Oh, thank you.
So linearity is really about quantity that change at a constant rate. That's really what characterizes them in terms of story problem. They change by the same amount every unit, same amount every unit. Every time the input increases by 1, the output increase or decrease by the same amount. That's really linearity. Very good. So now, are you done? Everyone? Okay. So let me finally move to problem number 34. Very good. So a person, oh, sorry. Okay, somebody founds a company that makes desks for school. Her startup cost, which include the renovation of an old factory and the purchase of machines used to construct the desk, was 40,000. So that's the what we call the fixed cost or the startup cost. And it costs $4 to make each desk. That's pretty cheap, but it costs $4 to make each desk. And she sells each desk to a store for $28. Let D represent the number of desks her company makes. And F is the function that assigns to each number D the total cost, including the startup, of making D desk. Determine a formula for f of d. Okay, so let us make sense of this problem. So what is the situation? So what is f doing? What is f taking for input? What is given us for output? And here, total understanding of f. Okay, what's taking for input? What does f do? Read it. What's the input here? Please put your camera on. It helps me a lot.
Assigns the total cost, including the startup fees.
Right. So what's the input here?
Would that be
Go ahead.
400,000?
I can't hear you.
Would that be 40,000?
No. What's the input? It assigns to what? Read the problem carefully. It assigns to each number D. What does D represent?
The desks.
Not the desk. Be more precise. I mean, it's the desk, but try to be more precise. D is not the desk. What?
Each desk?
Number of desk. The number of desks. So if D is 1, it means 1 desk. If D is 2, 2 desks. So I take the input, the number of desks manufactured, the number of desks. So D is the number of desks. And what does it assign to them? The cost of making D desk. So if it assigns to 1, the cost to make 1 desk. If D is 2, it is assigned to it the number to make 2 desks. So the input vary. And what are those values of the input is the number of desks. And assign to them the cost to produce D desk. So they are using the letter D for input instead of using basically T. Okay. So my input is going to be D, the number of desks. My output is f of D because this is the cost to produce them. Okay, before even finding the formula, we have to understand the problem carefully. If D is 0, so D is the number of desks. So D is the number of desks produced. If D is 0, what is f of D? What is the cost to produce 0 desk?
0.
No,
40,000
40,000. Why?
because there was a startup cost at first.
That's exact. That's the startup cost. Even if they don't produce anything, they need a startup cost because they need the money. The problem tells you renovation of an old factory, purchase of machines used to construct the desk. So prior to even producing a desk, they have really to purchase stuff. The startup cost to produce those desks. You cannot just rent a room and make a desk. You have to buy the machinery. So the initial at D equal to 0, that's the startup cost. That's the 40,000. Okay, so D is the number of desks. So 0 desks produced, the cost is 40,000. All right. Now I want all of you. What if 1 desk is produced? Read the problem. What's going to be the cost?
Would be $40,004.
Right, because how we read this, it costs $4 to make each desk. It means after they put down the 40 as a startup cost, and now they are ready to start producing, every desk they produce is going to cost them $4. So you can think of $4 basically the material that the desk is made of and the labor that the desk is made of. It doesn't take into account the machinery. It doesn't take into account, so the machinery is in the 40,000. It doesn't take into account the rent. The rent is in the 40,000. It doesn't take into account the electricity that's in the startup cost. So you can think of the 4, the labor, and what it's made of, the material. So that's 40,000 and $4. That's how we understand this problem. And now every 2 desks, you need those extra $4. And that will be 40,008. And it continue the same way. That's what the problem is. All right, so crucial whenever you have a function to really sit down, read it, and try to make sense out of it. So D is not desk. D is the number of desks. D changes. As D changes, it means the number change. Of course, the cost to produce that D is also changing with it. Okay, before we find a formula, if I want to sketch the graph of this function, what goes on the horizontal axis? Back to you. Number of desks, absolutely. That's what goes. D, my input. So here goes the number of desks. It's a number, 2, 3, 4, I don't know. And on the vertical axis is the output. But what is the output here? What is f of D? It's basically the cost to produce D desk. So exactly here goes the cost to producing desk. And now how the graph looks like. If you produce 0 desk, the startup cost, it's 40,000. So I'm assuming this is 40 And when I put 2 bars, it means that my scale is off because I cannot scale it otherwise. That's the startup cost. And then after that, every extra desk, we go by $4. Another desk, another $4. That's my cost function. So this is 4. That's by how much the cost is going up. Okay, is the picture kind of clear? So is F linear? Yes. F is linear because the cost to produce every desk is constant once I pay the $40,000. So what's going to be the formula here? What's the slope? And do we have, what's the slope here? Quickly.
4.
4. And do we have B in this problem? We don't always have the B. In this particular problem, do we have the B?
Yes.
Because it is the intercept. It's what's happening at 0. That's the 40,000. So the formula is going to be for D. I know that D bothers you, but you know, plus the 40,000. Okay. So that's my F of D. That's part A. Now let's look at part B. I read it. How many desks must the company sell to break even? What does that mean? What does it mean? So this company produces those desks. At the same time, they sell them. Now at the beginning, usually the company will not make a lot of money simply because there is this fixed cost, which is a lot. So even, and they cannot sell it by a lot of money, they have to sell it in a reasonable way. So at some point they start making profit. So the question here is the following. How many desks must the company sell to break even? And then they explain. That means you are to determine when the revenue she makes from selling is the same as her total cost of producing. So let's see what they are talking about. So I'm going to first ask you the following questions. The company or the person sells each desk to a store for $28. So they cost $4 to make it, but when they sell it, each one is going to cost $28. So I'm going to introduce a function. I'm going to call it the following. Suppose I'm going to use R of D. It's the function that gives me the revenue, how much the company makes, how much comes into the pocket of the company from selling D desk. Okay. I'm going to focus on this and then I answer the question in the book. So can I find a formula for D? Let us understand. D, the revenue. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. If D is 0, what's the revenue quickly?
0.
0. You don't sell, there is no money. Now, the company sells, here in red, sell a desk for $28. So if the company sells one desk, what's the revenue from it? Means how much money they have in their pocket?
$28.
28. If they sell 2,
Wait, I have a question.
I'm listening.
Do we need to take into the account that it says that they spend $4 making each desk?
No, that's where the profit comes. The revenue is exactly how much you sell it for times how much you sell.
Okay,
When
sorry.
we talk about the profit, which is, if anybody who's doing business, the profit is where this takes into account. So when we talk about the profit, how much the company will make, is going to be how much they bring in from the selling minus the cost. That will be the profit. The revenue is, if they sell 1, the revenue is 28. It's just how much money they get. It's not taking into account the cost.
Okay.
If they sell 2, that's what the revenue means. Even in business, that's what the revenue means. If they sell 2 times 28.
56.
56. If they sell 3 times 28.
84.
84. So what's the formula for R, the revenue? Means if they sell D desk, what's going to be the revenue? Who can give me the formula?
Is
What's
it
this? What?
20, is it 28D plus
20.
0?
Exactly. It's 28D plus 0. Logically, 1 desk, 28. 2 desk, 28 times 2. 15 desk, 28 times 15. It makes sense. A million desk, 28 times a million. That's really what it is. So here we're multiplying by the number of desks produced. So now, what's the break-even point? What does it mean, break-even? Break-even means the following. This company, I'm going to take it on a different page. Okay, what's the break-even? Okay, so this company produces stuff. The cost is given by this formula. I'm just writing what we got so far. The revenue is given by this formula, 28D. Okay, break even means what? Break even is when is the cost equal to the revenue. So break even is the value of the is the number of desks needed so that the cost equal the revenue. That's the break-even point. Means how many desks should they produce so that the cost and the revenue are equal. So let me graph this. Let me help you graphically see if it works. Graphically, that's the picture. This is the number of desks produced. That's the fixed cost. And that's the graph for the cost. So this tells me the cost. The revenue is 28D. Means at 0, the revenue is 0. But the revenue increases. Of course, the more you sell, the more revenue you bring in. But at the beginning, your cost is way more because you have this huge amount starting with. So at the beginning, you lose money. It makes sense because your cost is really more than what you're bringing in. At some point, after you basically compensate for those, your revenue have to start becoming larger than the cost. And the break-even point is exactly when are going to start. Break-even is exactly what's the value when the cost and the revenue are equal. Because after that, the revenue will take over and you will be making money. That's really the picture in here. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we do that? The way we're going to do that is we're going to find D, the number of desks produced. So how many we should produce so that the cost to produce them is the same as the revenue that we get from selling them. Means what? How many should I produce? That's the break even. How many should I produce? So the cost to produce them is exactly the number of revenue I'm going to get from selling them. So if I sell, for example, you don't have to write. Suppose I sell 10 desks, only 10. What is the cost? And what's the revenue? If I sell 10 desks, the cost is going to be 40, 4 times 10, plus 40,000. It's going to be huge, the cost. And the revenue is going to be 28 times 10. It means 280. So the revenue is so little compared to the cost. So I'm still losing money. So the question is, how many should I produce so that my cost and my revenue will be the same? And after that, I make money. So to solve this, we find the D so that cost equal revenue. And we solve for D. Okay, let's solve for D. I have to take away -4 from both sides, equal to that. It means 24D is 40,000. It means D is 40,000 divided by 24, which will give me the number of desks, if I'm doing the math correct, is 1,666. Almost that much. There is 0.66, but I don't want to worry about that. So it means that we should produce almost 1,666 desks.
So for the quiz, just round up or do the little.
Yeah, because it's desk.
approximately
I don't
mark.
care whether you round up or down, because it's number of desks. I don't want 2/3 of a desk or 0.66 of a desk. It doesn't make sense. All right. So what's happening if you produce that many desks? That's the picture. What happened if you produce that many desks?
If you produce that many desks, you've now made as much as you've spent.
Exactly. It means you made, after that, what's going to happen?
Now everything you make henceforth will be profit.
Right. After that, you're going to make profit. That's really what's happening in the push. It's a very logical question. Okay, when are you going to, you sell it for 28, but the question is, yeah, you're going to be losing at the beginning, but that's okay. That's how people work. Losing. So you have to ask yourself, how many should I produce and sell so that I can start making profit? So you have to do more than that many desks. If you sell more than that, you're losing money. You have to be selling more than that much to be able to make profit. Okay. Good question. All right. Can I move on?
Do you want us, so we don't need to do anything where we have the points, right? Like we put in like what it will be on the graph.
I don't understand the question. Please repeat.
So like now we know that when we break even, X is going to be approximately 1,666. So we don't need to find Y. That's just the end
No,
of the.
unless I ask you to. Yes, you don't. But if you find the Y, what's going to happen? Whether you plug in this here equation or this in this equation, what's going to happen?
Oh, you'll find Y.
You should get the same value, almost. Okay, because for this value of D, the cost and the revenue are equal to one another. So you should get almost the same value. Okay. So today, so this was a good problem. Today we're going to go back to, lines and lines and lines that we're going to be doing. Hopefully that will be the end of it today. We're going to go back to the geometry of line. But before that, I'm going to mention two things: special lines. Okay, what do I mean by special lines? Special lines are vertical and horizontal lines. So suppose I take a horizontal line, and this is 3. That's a horizontal line. What is the slope of this line?
0.
0. Don't be afraid. Absolutely 0. Why it is 0? Because the slope is not no slope. No slope, I will not accept it. It's a 0. Because what is the slope in this particular problem? Basically, you take 2 points on the line, But regardless which 2 points you take, the y is not changing. So the change of y is going to be always 0. So if I take this point and I take that point, okay, those are 2 points on the line because the y coordinates over 3, then 3 minus 3, it's 0 over 1, that's going to give me 0. So the slope is over 0. There is no change in y. There is no rise on a horizontal line. But what's the equation of this line then? What's the equation? It means how we describe a horizontal line. That's really what the question, how we describe this line. If the slope is 0, so y is going to be equal to what?
Would it be 0x plus 3?
Right, and 0x is 0. Equation y equal to 3. And this makes sense. Because what does it mean the equation y is y equal to 3? It means no matter what x is, y is 3. It means I'm looking for the lines that has the property that no matter what x is, if x is 100, the y is 3. So all the points will have to be located on a horizontal line. So equation of a horizontal line, so that's horizontal. Horizontal line is y equal to 3. So if my y is down here, so for example, if I have -1, y equal -1. I have 6, y equal to 6, and so on and so forth. Now, vertical line. So suppose again, I have the following line. But it's a vertical, so I'm going to put 3 here, and this is my line. Okay, and again, my question here, what's the slope of this line? Okay, to find the slope, I need 2 points. Okay, so I have 2 points. That's a point. Another point. Suppose this is 1. What are the coordinates of this point? Quickly. Quickly, what are the coordinates of that point on the graph?
3, 1.
3, 1. No, it's 3, 1. So what's the slope? If I use the slope of this line, what we're going to get? 1 minus 0, right? 1 minus 0, divided by the change in x. X hasn't changed. There is no change in x because the line is vertical. 1 over 0, it means it's undefined. Okay, so if the line is horizontal, the slope is 0. If the line is vertical, the slope is undefined. So we don't talk about slope for vertical line, not for horizontal. For horizontal, the slope is 0. But what is the equation of this line? So in this case, what is the equation? So we don't have a slope, but we talk about the equation of a vertical line. It means how can I characterize the point on this line? The way I can characterize them is the following. Regardless what the y is, suppose this is 2. Regardless what y is, what characterizes the point is that their x coordinate is 3. Regardless which point, the x coordinate is 3. So the equation of this line is given by x equal to 3. Okay, so if I tell you, sketch the line x equal to 3, it means sketch the line that has the property that no matter what y is, x equal to 3. It means all the point with x coordinate 3, therefore you get all the point on this line. Okay. Now, part 2 is the idea of parallel and perpendicular lines. I will do perpendiculars because parallel are fairly easy. So parallel and perpendicular line. Okay. All right, first, suppose I have a line L1. So L1 and L2, 2 lines. And parallel means, this is what parallel means. So if L1 is parallel to L2, what can we say about the slope? What can I say about the slope? So this is a line and this is a line. If they are parallel, it means they have exactly same slope because they have the same steepness. Since they are parallel, if I move by one here or I move by one here, the rise is going to be the same. So two lines are parallel. Oh, sorry. This, okay, that's the notation for parallel. Okay, it means that the slope of L1 equal to the slope of L2. In other words, same slope or equal slope. Okay, so if two lines are parallel to each other, then their slope are equal. So if I know the slope of the first, I know the slope of the second. Perpendicular is slightly different. So suppose you have two lines. Suppose L1 and L2 are two lines. Suppose L1 is perpendicular to L2. I keep using symbols, my apology. The symbols for perpendicular is that means perpendicular. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but just to remind you. So this is my L1 and this is my L2. That's perpendicular. It means there is a 90-degree angle between them. This is perpendicular line. If two lines are perpendicular, what can we say about their slope? Do you guys, anybody have any recollection? Anybody? Okay. If they are line perpendicular, then the slope of L1 is given by, that's the relationship between their slope, is -1 over the slope of L2. So that's the relationship between them. So they are perpendicular. Definitely they don't have the same slope by any stretch of the imagination, because if you just look at the picture, this is positive and this is negative. So definitely they don't have the same slope, but the relation between their slope is given totally by this formula. So I'm going to do one example that to elaborate the perpendicular case, not the parallel, because parallel, they have the same, exactly the same slope. So let's do that, and then we quit for the quiz. So question is, find equation of the line that goes through, I'm going to give you a point on the line. So a point would be 2 minus 1, and it's perpendicular. I'm going to use the whole word now, to the line, let us say an easy line, 2y plus x equal to 0. So I need to find the equation of a line. I gave you a point. I gave you a point, 2 minus 1. So I gave you the point on the line. To find the equation, I need the slope. I did not give you the slope, but I told you it's perpendicular to this line. So to be able to find the equation, I need the slope. So I'm leaving an empty spot here. We have a point. And the question, I need the slope. What I know is that, sorry, I have the point, I need the slope. What I know is perpendicular to this line, okay? So, right? So to be able to find the slope, I need to find the slope of this line. So let us find the slope of 2y plus x equal to 0. Okay, if I know that, I know the slope of my line. So what's the slope of 2y plus x equal to 0? Can anybody tell me the slope? How do we find it?
Do we plug it in one at a time and then solve for each one? Or do we plug both in at the same time?
I don't think I
You have to
plug in.
do-
No, no. How can I find the slope of this particular line? Forget about this one.
Don't you have to get y by itself?
Right, right. We have to rewrite. Mx plus b. Remember? So it's going to give me 2y equal minus x. Y equal divide by 2 minus 1 over 2 times x. So I repeat. I know a point. I want to find equations that go through this point. It means I know this point. I need the slope. And the question is, how can I find the slope? Here they are telling me it's perpendicular to this line. So it means we have a certain line here, 2y plus x. So I'm trying not to draw. So 2y plus x is going to be equal, going to be something like that. So that's the line, 2y plus x equal to 0. But what I want, what I'm interested in is a line that goes through that point and it's perpendicular to that. That's the line, the red line is what I'm interested in. So to be able to find it, first I look for the slope of this line. The slope is minus 1 over 2x. So the slope of the line I'm interested in is going to be minus 1 over minus a half. So step 1, I find the slope of the line 2y plus x. When I have it, it means the slope of the one I'm interested in is minus 1 over it. And now I compute this. Property of fraction times minus 2 over 1. This is equal to 2. It means this line has slope 2, and this is, the slope is minus a half. And now the equation. I can use the point slope 4. And I get y minus equal to x minus. This is the point 2 minus 1. Minus 1 and 2. And now I reduce equal to x, distribute, and will give me y equal to x minus 5. Okay. All right, so this is basically whenever I need equation of a line, as I said, we need the slope and we need a point. So they gave me the point, but they did not give me the slope. The only thing they told me is that it's perpendicular to this line. They did not give me the slope. So we went after the slope of the line 2y plus x. To find the slope of this, I just solve for y minus a half x. It means I pick up the slope here. What's x multiplied by? So, but this tells me that because the one I'm interested in is perpendicular to it, it means the slope of the line I'm interested in is minus 1 over the slope of this other line. Do the math, gives me a 2, and then you finally find the equation. Okay. All right, so I'll stop here for you guys to take the quiz. Remember your online homework. I'm going to give you more practice problem for this section. Please remember to do your online homework. Right? I guess now you can start your quiz. You know what to do. Get going.